Deb's dad was nice enough to treat us to an offshore deep-sea fishing trip. It was a great trip. We got up early in the morning. We took off down the Mississippi River with 2 guides. We were going out before the sun was rising, so early in the morning was a great view. This boat had 3 300 horsepower outboards on it. We were doing about 50 miles an hour, sometimes 52, 53 miles an hour, and I see this boat coming up next to us, and I'll be darned if this guy didn't end up going past us. I don't know if you can see this. He actually has 4 300 horsepower outboards. So on the ride out, we went ahead and relaxed, and they bumped heads.
I am going to keep this class on because we had to wake up at 4 and get ready. And this thing's going to be going all day.
Just outside the mouth of the river, we went ahead and stopped and got some bait. One guy would drive the boat until he saw a little school of these things being chased, and then the next one would throw the net out. We probably threw the net maybe 10 times or so, ended up with 100, 150 bait fish. Now it was time to motor on out where the tuna fish were, and we'd start trolling. There were only 1 to 3 foot seas in the Gulf of Mexico. We probably went about 45 or 50 miles offshore. It was amazing doing 45 to 50 miles an hour, how smooth this boat cut through the waves.
Right now I'm going to go fish. See you when I go catch a fish.
And she did. We gave her the first tuna to go ahead and start reeling in. It was really hard to hold the line, so I tried to turn it over to her, and then as she got tired, Deb and David held the fishing rod while she cranked on it, and in the end, David needed to reel this one up. It was about a 35-pound tuna. They always talk about the one that got away. So we lost one that the guide said were probably about 100 pounds. I had the reel, and it just continued to take line out for, I don't know, it had to be 10 or 15 minutes. I'd get 2 cranks on, it would pull it out for 5 minutes.
Holy shit, that's a big
Keith and I each took a turn on this one. It was really tough to go ahead and reel it up. It's amazing just what kind of pressure this puts on your shoulder and your wrist and your arms. We fought this fish for probably about 35 minutes in all. This ended up being a 65-pound yellowfin tuna. It was wonderful. Once this thing was cleaned, we just had fresh sushi right off of the fish, and it was phenomenal. But I've never caught anything this large in my life, and I was shocked at just how tired you were afterwards. I don't know if you can see it, but on the butt end of the fishing rod, there's a styrofoam little pad that you put right above your groin to keep it from digging into your side. So after hooking 3 tuna fish and bringing 2 aboard, the 2 we brought aboard were about 100 pounds combined, it was time to go ahead and go to another location near the deep sea oil rigs, so we could just do some bottom fishing for red snapper, and more than 1 or 2 of us could fish at a time. These oil rigs were huge. They're amazing to see out in the middle of the ocean like this. And we certainly didn't catch everything the whole time. We'd drop it down to the bottom, and the idea was to keep the bait right there on the bottom of the ocean. It was about 200 feet deep or so where we were. You can see Deb's here cranking up on one.
Remember, it's a race against the shark, baby.
David had a pretty good hit and was reeling in a fish, and when he finally reeled it in, he had nothing but the head left. And there's a hammerhead shark following along behind it, grabbed it. Deb caught a red snapper in this photo here. Not a large one. As a matter of fact, this is the one you'll see us bake whole at the end of this video.
What's legal? Close, isn't it?
David ended up getting another one. You can see him reeling this thing in. It's kind of neat when you see him start to get pretty close to the surface. Decent sized fish for sure. And again, he pulls her on in. And now it was time to head to the next fishing ground. We moved away from the deep sea oil rig and went to a place they were referring to as the Green Buoy Marker. You can see somebody decided to take a few naps between fishing spots. We got to the new location. We were fishing for grouper. Keith was the first one to hook one up. It turned out in the end it wasn't a grouper, it was a red snapper. But at this point, this was the largest whole fish we received all day.
It's a big one right there. That's the biggest whole one we got.
Well, it's not bigger than the last time.
Nice work, Keith.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Nice.
Let me see. Oh my God.
Look this way, Keith.
Good work.
There you go.
Awesome.
Nice.
In the end, we went ahead and caught 10 fish, 2 for each of us. I didn't seem to have much footage of myself or Chastity catching the fish. So in the end, we went ahead and caught about 100 pounds of tuna, and then when we caught our limit of red snapper, we started heading on back in. It was quite a trek back. Back at the port, the fishing guides went ahead and cleaned the fish for us. You can see here how they're cleaning the smaller of the tuna. It's kind of neat how they cut this into steaks and just pull these 4 sort of sections off of the fish and then cut them right down into steaks. Here you can see all the fillets from the red snapper, but this is the 65-pound tuna that he's about to start cutting now. It's amazing too. These knives are just some kind of sharp, clearly. You can see him cutting right through this thick part of the fish, and when he cuts down the center, it's amazing how easily he seems to go through this stuff. But these tuna steaks have been phenomenal. I think we'll be eating them for a few weeks. This was a lot of fish. Once it was cleaned, we probably ended up with somewhere around 125 or 135 pounds of cleaned fillets and steaks. So, quite the catch, quite the meat supply, and we went ahead and split this between, Deb and I took some, Keith took some for him and Deb, and David took some for him and Lee, and then we brought, obviously, another whole section back to Deb's parents. Beautiful trip, and unfortunately his health didn't let him go on this with us. It was then time for the 2.5-hour drive back home. When we got there, Deb and Dan started to trim the fillets, and I started vacuum sealing them up. And you can see here we vacuum sealed about 2 tuna steaks to each package, and we had quite a bit between what we had just stacked up on this chair and table, and we weren't done yet.
So I want to thank Dan for this trip. It was really, really a nice thing to do. He went ahead and paid for this trip and sent Deb and I on it. The idea was it was going to be him and Deb and I and Chastity go on a fishing trip, and unfortunately his health just wasn't in a place where he could go at the time that the trip was booked. So he suggested we bring a couple of friends and just go without him. Really disappointed to go without him, but man, we had a great trip, and Dan, I couldn't thank you enough. This was really, really phenomenal. So thanks, and let's do it again when you can join along.
So this is a great way of doing fish. As long as you can handle your food looking back at you, it is phenomenal. And just to give you an idea how easy this is, it just peels right back off the bone. Kind of doing it with the wrong hand here, being left-handed. It's phenomenal. It's so... Here, let's see if I can get a picture of this. See just how flaky it is. That sound is me eating it continually. But beautiful. Dib this, nothing more than salt, pepper, and some lemon.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly updates and like this video.